Hello everyone, I'm Jocelyn Davis, and the fun just continues here on Clevvertv's Eclipse Chapter Recap Series. Up next, get excited you guys, because we have got Chapter 4. Let's get started. Chapter 4, it's called Nature. Now, it's been a really bad week for Bella. Victoria's back, and she is completely panicked. Graduation is still a few weeks off, and Bella's thinking that she'd be much safer and much better off if she weren't human. Everyone, even Carlisle, tries to console her, telling her that there are 7 of them and only 1 of Victoria. Plus, the original plan is way better for Charlie, too. Now, Bella, who's always quick to question anything, asks Alice why, if they all seem so confident that they could protect her, had Edward wanted to whisk her away to Florida. Alice, of course, reminds Bella of Edward's over-protectiveness factor, and Bella just comes to terms with the fact that her life will include being stalked by a wild vampire. No biggie, right? Yeah. So Bella just keeps on reminding Edward that if he'd change her, this could all stop. But Edward is quick to remind her that he would change her whenever she asked, but of course she had to marry him first. So Edward had to pick the one thing that Bella had trouble with, only further making her week go totally down the tubes. Anyways, Edward goes hunting, which Bella had begged him to do. She could tell that he was super bored hunting the nearby prey, and she wanted him to go out and just have some fun with the guys. And even though he was only gone for a little bit, her abandonment issues always returned. But Bella did her very best to cover them up, which we know she is never, ever good at. So with Edward away, Alice was keeping an eye on Bella, who still had plans to go help Angela with her announcements after work. And with nothing else to do, Bella decides to head to work early, only catching Mike and his mom in the middle of a huge argument about the questionable safety in Seattle. Bella's day goes downhill quickly when Mrs. Newton lets her know that she'd meant to call her, but they didn't really need her that day. So out Bella goes into the dismal day. And on her way to her truck, she offers randomly to throw away some old flyers for Mrs. Newton, but it wasn't until she was outside that she saw what they said. Save the Olympic wolf. And who else do you think she was thinking of? Without even taking a beat, Bella raced down the familiar highway, heading for the unknown boundary line at La Push, knowing Edward was gonna be super mad later. And before she could even cut off the engine, there was Jacob, standing in the doorway, his face totally blank. She thought she even heard him gasp. In mere moments, Jacob, with a huge smile spread across his face, was running towards the truck, and as the BFFs walked along, Bella felt herself falling back into that old version of herself, the Bella that she was when she was with Jacob. Now, and after the initial chaos and hellos and excitement had worn down, that was when the hard part came, the part where they had to talk about why they were separated. Jacob wanted to know if she'd forgiven Edward for everything he had done in abandoning her, and Bella knew she had to explain everything to him. She told Jake that the only reason Edward ever even left was because he thought Bella shouldn't be spending time with vampires. It was like nothing ever changed, but after a bit, Jacob started backing off. It was when they had to get to the story about Italy where Bella left to get Edward. It was obvious that Jake was angry. He wanted to know if it was even a long story, so Bella told him the whole thing, trying to see how he'd react. But out of that whole epic story, all that she got was Jake's excitement over the fact that Alice couldn't see the future of the wolves like she could with everybody else. Of course, this totally frustrated Bella, but she continued on with the recount anyways. However, she just purposely left out the part about the promises. Remember the ones that they'd made with the Volturi and the visit that they were expecting? After everything that she'd done to Jake, she just kind of wanted to protect him. But now it was Jacob's turn to divulge some info. Victoria had been on La Push during the weekend when Bella was away. Wow. They chased her trail on their side of the boundary with the entire Cullen Coven right on the other side of the line, both groups trying without success to catch the fast vampire. Now, after Sam and Carlisle spoke, the pack and the Cullens decided that Victoria was priority over their own little disputes. But before they could catch her, Victoria went back into the water again and they lost her. But Jake said that they would get another chance at her. Jake became thoughtful, quiet, reminiscing about how things could have been if Bella just hadn't dove off the cliff. Things between Jacob and Bella would still be the same. Jacob tried to be calm as he told Bella that Sam was mad at her. Jake explained how Sam felt that she, out of everyone in the world, should hate the Cullens as much as he did. She had been so betrayed by Edward, but she still let him back in like it was nothing. Bella knew that it wasn't just Sam who had these feelings. And before she could fight back though, Jacob saw an eagle catching a fish, random. But then he said, "You see it everywhere, the hunter and the prey. It's nature." Bella didn't really get the whole point of this little science lecture until she glanced at him as he said, "You don't see the eagle trying to plant a kiss on the fish." Bella, trying to make a little light out of this heavy situation, said maybe the fish was trying to kiss the eagle. But Jacob didn't think it was so funny. He persisted, asking if it was the looks or it was the money. Why would she want a vampire? Bella started to get really angry. Jacob just really wanted to understand, so finally Bella just said that she loved him because he was decent, unselfish, loving, and brilliant. Jake said the place to look for love would be in her own species. But after Bella said she'd be stuck with Mike Newton, it really hit home for Jacob that he was different than her. Jacob insisted that he was human, just different, and much different than the Cullens. What Jacob was something he was born with, and that he took Bella's hand saying he was human, maybe not normal, but he was still human. Don't know if we really agree with him being a normal human, actually not so much, but whatever. Either way, Bella couldn't stay mad at him despite all of their differences. She could see that underneath all of the anger, underneath all of his sarcasm, Jacob was in deep, deep pain. The big, huge, strong werewolf, she was breaking his heart, and that was why she had gone to him. Bella knew she had to help him. His pain hurt her because Jacob had become part of her, and there was nothing that she could do to change that. And, of course, that brings Chapter 4 to a close. So here is your big question, guys. Do you agree with Jacob that he is still human, just not a normal human? Or do you think he is a totally different species altogether? Let us know what you think right here. And thanks for tuning in to Clevvertv's Eclipse Chapter Recap Series. For more updates, make sure to sub this channel. I'm Jocelyn Davis. See you next time we delve deep into Chapter 5.